shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hi. Anybody there? Can you hear me now? Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And it helps if I turn everything on, right? Oh, goodness. Goodness. So, thank you for joining me tonight. We are being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube World. Hello, YouTube. If you are over on the YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And no matter how you are hearing me, make sure you do stop in and say hello. And I sure hope y'all can hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay, very bizarre. The wrong phone is ringing. I don't know what to think about that. All right, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear me. Let me check something real quick. Just so you know, we occasionally have software updates, and I want to make sure that my software updates are accurate. Because sometimes... Yeah, nope, there it's on and going. Cool. So, yeah, I may be buffering a little bit because I do live in North Idaho, guys. So if the audio breaks up a little bit, I am sorry. I am still here. Hi. So anyways, no matter how you are hearing me, even if it's sporadically, make sure you do say hello, either in one of the chat rooms or Facebook or wherever. And if you want to support the show, that's awesome. The Etsy is www.etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio and MTN for Mountain. My website is www.thespacesbetween.live, or the Patreon is www.patreon.com/thespacesbetween. And I am trying to add some stuff. It's been crazy here in my world, so that's just the way of it. Oh, so today I did load one of my 3-cent videos, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, you should. Mostly, about new windshield wipers, which you would think that windshield wipers wouldn't inspire a podcast, but they did. And it was, sometimes we have to be able to see clearly, and we have to get rid of the stuff that's blocking our way and our ability to see. So, whatever that blockage might be, just, remember to clean your windows. That's all. And that's not a metaphor, that's literal. Clean your windows. In my household, there's nose prints from the dogs, paw prints from the cats, and then there's all sorts of handprints from children and grandchildren. It's a good time. And at one point, I remember Minnie Paisley was finger painting, and her hands were just all icky. So I'm totally off the subject. I get up to go see what's taking her so long to wash her hands, and there's these little handprints all the way up the stairs, right underneath the handrail, which I'm glad she didn't touch the wood because I would never have gotten the paint out. But it was easy enough to wash off the wall. But yeah, remember to clean things. It's good. In the chat rooms, I do see we've got Hilarious and Big D and Wanderin, and also Black Tree. Thank you for wielding the wrench. MCAT is here, and Sonia, and Megaphone Man, and Hestia, saw you just real briefly, and Renee, and pretty sure that there's some folks over in Paranormal Portal still. Thanks for the shout out, Brent. They are carrying over just a little bit with the free readings by Deb, and those are generally pretty awesome. And basically, she's not like a lot of the fake paranormal or psychics that ask all these leading questions. They're like, "Ooh, I'm thinking of a letter E. Does someone have a name starting with letter E?" You know, she doesn't do that. She asks for your name, what's your question, and then she answers it, which is pretty powerful to me, and gives her just this aura of legitimacy that we don't always see in other places, especially when it comes to psychics or people who say they have this ability or that ability. So today is Friday the 13th, so happy Friday the 13th. I hope you all had a good day. It's not a bad day for pagans. It's not a bad luck day. Not even really. Not really, really. Just some perceive it to be. For me, it's a good day. Here's my softball number, and I think my basketball number, and anniversaries and birthdays and all sorts of fun things happen on the 13th in my family. So that's good. And hug a black cat. They're not superstitious either. They're just cute, fluffy, blacky thingies. So yeah, hug a cat. And then full moon yesterday, so I hope you had a good full moon. Esbat, the cold moon or the ice moon, which here, yeah, it snowed, it was cold, it was icy, and it was kind of miserable this morning getting out the door. And in the studio here, that cold has really, really, really sinking into my bones this evening. So I don't know, just the age. I'm not as young as I used to be, so the cold sometimes hits me a little differently. Here locally, we had a tattoo special going on at one of the tattoo shops, so I got a tattoo. I'd show you, but it's kind of covered up and it's got a band-aid on it, and you'll have to wait until next weekend, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. I got an acorn. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the tattoo or not, because it was the flash pages. It was just pictures or various standard format things that they printed off and had available. And there was like 6 of them. And I went to 2 different tattoo shops. And the first one, there really wasn't anything that connected to me. It was just stuff. And it was random stuff. It wasn't Friday the 13th theme at all. It was like the state of Idaho with 13 in the middle of it. A hatchet, a chainsaw, a mountain graphic of some sort, and some other stuff. And it's like, no, that's not really what I want. Oh, and that one had like skulls and some hearts and some flowers and some miscellaneous stuff, and still nothing really in my budget, because my budget's not very it's very, very skinny budget. And so I went to a different place while Minnie Paisley went and played and screamed and had a good old time. And yep, $13 tattoos, which you'd think wouldn't be very much, but no, they're pretty good. And you know, it was good. There was a couple of random things. Again, the state of Idaho with 13 in it, and a Zippo lighter and a chainsaw. I know we're in Idaho, but a chainsaw, seriously, 2 places, an axe and some other stuff, and an acorn. Now, the acorn speaks to me partly because a year ago, this weekend, Minnie Paisley and I put together our very first Yule log on our own. And on it we had holly, and we had, trying to think, evergreen cedar, another berry, trying to think, it's not coming to me right off the top of my head, and acorns. Because we had, I have an oak tree in the backyard, so we glued some acorns to it. And then here, lo and behold, shortly after Yule, one of those little acorns looked like it was cracked. And it's like, oh, I'm looking at it closely, and it had really, really cracked, and I could see a little bitty root forming. So I went ahead and put it in a little pot of dirt, and now I have Groot. He's about yay tall, about 8 inches, I think, with a couple leaves on him. And so, yeah, for me, an acorn very much symbolizes the oak tree, which is kind of symbolic of Cernunnos. And this is part of why I feel that Cernunnos has called me to follow him. So yeah, rebirth, potential, age, longevity. Oak to me has always kind of represented hearth and home. I don't know why, but that's just for me. Um, well, I do kind of know why. It is the old family farmstead. The oak tree that my great grandfather planted is still there, and survived a couple tornadoes and some other just things that happen over the course of years. And now that particular oak tree branches probably covered just about an acre of provide about an acre of shade. So it's a really big tree. It's a really old tree. Now, the oak tree here is not related in any way, shape, or form, but I've always felt very, very connected to oak trees in general. And so, yeah. So I got the acorn because, yeah, it's like reminded me of Baby Groot. So, yeah, my little oak tree. Speaking of, I think I need to put him in a bigger pot or give him some fertilizer because I haven't done that in about 3 months in this time. So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, the acorn, rebirth, definitely. And kind of reaffirming myself to my pagan path and, getting to know myself better, because sometimes it is just hard to acknowledge the path that we're on, because stuff gets in the way. And it really does. The day-to-day trivialities of surviving. And, hi, blondie lady. And it's frustrating, we get so wrapped up in making sure the bills are paid and the groceries are bought and put away and the kids are fed and ourselves are fed. We take a shower once in a while, brush our teeth, that kind of thing. And we can go to work and drive and take care of the car, clean the house. Those day-to-day activities, the mundane activity of it all, often just puts us in a place where we forget to grow or forget the path that we're on. Or maybe not forget, but are distanced from it a little bit, just because there's so much going on that we have to deal with, especially during the season right now. It's the holiday season. A lot of families are getting together and doing stuff. And so for me, having my little Groot sprout was really, excuse me, just a reawakening. Hey, Cameron. A way of reawakening myself and bringing myself back to my path. And then in, I think it was February-ish, thereabouts, is when I kind of affirmed myself to, work more with Cernunnos and had a little personal ritual celebration type thing for him. And so, yeah, that was me. And, as I'm talking about this, and I know there's some comments in chat saying, hey, that's really cool. It is really cool. But remember that we all have different paths, and different things are going to speak to us. So for me, the oak tree really, really connected. For some, it may be birds, ravens. I love ravens. Ravens connect with me. Not actually a shocker, but I love them. Eagles, I've always taken an eagle flying over where I'm going or what I'm doing is a very positive sign. I know that it's kind of funny that, some people find a penny and they pick it up. It's like all day long, they'll have good luck. That's generally been a sign of, hey, something positive is happening in their lives. So it's, that connectiveness to your own path. Often we forget what those signs are. So don't be afraid to, journal them. Journal those things. Write down those stories, those connections, those things that happen, those activities, and how you feel about them. So if you go out in the world and you bump into someone you haven't seen in 20 or 30 years, journal it, write it down. How'd you feel? What made you connect with them? How did it happen? Was there something? Or if someone wears a piece of jewelry that you think is just really awesome and you want to connect, you ask them about, hey, where'd you get that? You find out a little bit more story or information about it. Often there will be a clue in there about ourselves and our own paths, and that's just important. So yeah, journaling, everything is good. I'm not very good at it myself. I'm working on it. I do a lot more audio recordings than I do writing things down these days, just because of my commute back and forth to work. It's easy. So, anyways, yes, crows are hilarious. Crows and ravens are some of the smartest birds. Oh my gosh. They will remember you if you give them treats and favors. They don't like my beagle boxer dog. His name's Basil, by the way. And Basil does not really like them either. And he will bark at them, and they will sit just out of reach and make noise at him. Sometimes they caw. I've heard them bark back. It's hilarious. They will tease him and harass him and just get him worked up into a frenzy. And he's finally getting to the point where he's learned how to ignore them. So, yeah, it's I don't know, the way animals interact with one another is it's fun to watch. That's all there is to it. So the other thing that's kind of going on in December, it is Yule and solstice. I'll probably talk about solstice next week. We do have a guest, Blue Lotus Hypnotherapy, talking about past life regression on Friday the 20th. And that is the 20th, right? Oh, where's my calendar? What is today? Yeah, Friday the 20th. And that I'm really excited about that. The whole process, the whys, the benefits, and some of the detractions. Why maybe you shouldn't do a past life regression, because I think all the tools that we have available to us are good, but they're not good for everyone, because not everybody's in the same place on the path. That's all there is to it. So I figured we'd talk about Yule tonight, since it's just coming up about a week away. And I just have a little bit of stuff to talk about. So if you wanted to call in, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. And mostly Yule happens right about solstice. It's generally about the same time. It is one of the Sabbats, the big things that we celebrate. And it's a celebration of the end of winter, really truly. It's mostly, we're celebrating that the days are no longer getting short, and they're going to start getting longer. And so I figured we would just talk about it. So basically I'll say basically like 9 more times, because apparently that's my word tonight. It's a festival of rebirth, return of the sun, which again, oak, acorn, anyways. So the goddess generally gives birth to the sun, or the sun god at this point. And as the sun begins to wax and the days grow longer, and for some reason it takes forever in January and February, all of that has been hidden in the fall, and the winter is going to begin to emerge. Think plants growing. And so it's, Yule is generally considered like the sun's birthday, which is part of the reason why it seems Christmas is celebrated right about the same time. It's the sun's birthday, the other sun. So the Holly King generally rules over the darkest part of the year from midsummer to Yule. Both fight for the favor and the love of the goddess, and then surrender their life force for the well-being of the land. And so a lot of Yule and solstice traditions are generally shared with Christianity, and it's in part because the church, when they were trying to convert pagans to Christianity, they adopted and combined a lot of pagan traditions and cultural activities to make it easier for that transition from one religion to another. And so while Christianity really doesn't have a basis in paganism, there's a lot of similarities. There just is. Um, Now, evergreens are generally a sign of everlasting life, and so because they're evergreen. And so they've often been hung around doorways and windows and mantles, and each of the different varietals of evergreens have a slightly different symbolism or meaning to it. So mistletoe is something that's been revered by the Druids, and it's a healing and protecting type of greenery. Um, when harvesting, make sure you thank the plant, of course, and when you pluck it, you make sure it doesn't touch the earth because that's not what it's supposed to do. And if just if you guys do call in, because we've had some issues with the phone lines, and I don't get to you, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because it just didn't connect and to call back. So, anyways, and mistletoe is considered to be magical because it generally lives between the worlds, between sky and heaven, and or sky and the earth, or heaven and earth, because it's a hanging vine or plant. And the white berries of the mistletoe are generally considered to be a symbolism of the male aspect, and it's kind of a fertility thing. So that's why kissing under the mistletoe has been kind of a relationship sign and a fertility thing. Holly is also an evergreen, and the spiky bristles and the pointy sharp parts, which remember wear your gloves when you're harvesting it, generally is considered to repel unwanted spirits. Now, newborn babies used to be sprinkled at christening with holly water, and that's just water in which holly leaves have been soaked. And if it was blessed by the full moon, also is considered especially as sacred. So holly is sacred, and from the Germanic goddess Holly, Holle, and so it symbolized everlasting life, goodwill, and life energy. The berries themselves, the red berries, generally represented the feminine. And so when you combine the holly and the mistletoe, it was very representative of the sacred marriage of the holly king and the goddess. And then the sun is literally S-U-N, the sun is born. Another greenery, evergreen that's used is ivy. Now, ivy has often been used as a symbol of immortality and resurrection. And when it grows in a spiral, it reminds us of the reincarnation and rebirth, the wheel of time, literally. Now, ivy has generally been considered sacred to Osiris, when his death and resurrection were a very central theme in Egyptian religions. Ivy is also sacred to Dionysus, who's the god of vegetation, blossoming, and also the return of spring. Yew is another plant that's associated with regeneration and rebirth, and yew is kind of a big deal in the tree world, just so you know. It sends up new trees from its roots, and it grows to just a very great age. So if there's a yew grove, often they have a very connected root system. And so yew is very connected to the spirit realms because of this, and the ancestors. And if you have a sacred space, your ritual space, often yew has been planted as to represent the world tree, or Yggdrasil, and is often planted in graveyards for this purpose also. And it is poisonous. Don't eat it. It's for looks only, folks. And then pine. Pine's just a really yummy smell anyways. And if you bring pine into the home, it's supposed to be just healing and just a sense of joyfulness. And if you do burn any of the needles or pine needles to release that smell, or that just the yummy pine smells, it's a purifier also. So, just like that, we're at the bottom of the hour already as I'm freezing. Oh my gosh. I should have brought my little heater down and stuck it next to my feet because I'm cold in the frozen North Idaho. And that just happens because it's North Idaho. The call line is open, and that number, again, if you haven't seen it, it's 213-233-3998. If you want to just give me an email, that works as well. I love those. It is wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. I'll see you in a moment.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. as old the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And yeah, I've been forgetting to push buttons all night. Oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, tonight we're talking about Yule. Just gonna get right back into it. And looks like hi Clyde, how's it going? And yeah, just making sure, checking everything because hey, you know what? I gotta tell you, Fridays are sometimes very, very long for me. I like to sleep in, and during the week, I get excited if I sleep in till 5:30 in the a.m. Although tomorrow, mini Paisley, I'll be excited to sleep in till 6:30 because yeah, I'm wild that way. Hey Don, how's it going? So talking about Yule tonight. The next one, at Yule, you know, it's often some sort of a custom, I guess, to see wreaths out there. They're common all over the place, and basically it's just using two hoops, one through the other, and bound with evergreens, holly, and ivy. Often there's apples, or dolls, baubles, balls, glass balls, bows, that kind of thing. Basically, it's a decoration. It's often just a wreath, but in the pagan world, it's called a kissing bow. So at the very bottom of this wreath, the mistletoe is tied, and then the whole thing's suspended in the middle of the room. Now, this traditionally is done in a room with a higher ceiling, which is why so many of our mistletoe branches or bundles right now are very small. You can put them in the palm of your hand, basically. It's because a lot of our ceilings are lower, but, once upon a time, the ceilings were significantly higher, ballrooms and that kind of thing. So, yeah, you'd have these big wreaths, these kissing bows, hanging down from the ceiling. Excuse me. And so every time there's the white berries from the mistletoe is meant to represent a kiss. So if a couple is underneath there, they would kiss, and then for every kiss, a berry is removed. And so when all the berries are gone, the kissing is supposed to stop. Just kind of a cute tradition, I think, or a creepy one, depending on what your point of view is. The Yule tree. So the Yule tree started generally, in theory, in Victorian times by Prince Albert from Germany. Now, this specifically the Yule tree. Now, trees, especially pine trees, were very much an integral part of goddess groves in Roman society. And then on the eve of midwinter solstice, or Yule, Roman priests would cut down a pine tree, decorate it, and carry it ceremonially to the temple for celebrations. And then people would also deck their homes with boughs of evergreen trees and put bushes in pots and that kind of thing. So pines have always been cherished as kind of a symbol of rebirth and life, even in the depths of winter, because they're green. They're all the time. So also the festival of Saturnalia is celebrated this time of year. And so pagan families would start to bring live trees into the home and then decorate it so that the wood spirits would have a place to reside and to stay warm even in the cold winter months. And often food and treats were left on the branches for the spirits to eat, or the sprites to eat. So all of that, all encompassing, it really shows you, so where some of the traditions that we have now for decorating the Christmas tree. Now the candles are often representative of bringing the light out of the darkness. So lighting the candle for Yule is very popular. Often red, green, and gold candles are lit to symbolize the returning of the sun on Yule. So if you create a Yule log or have an altar going, red, yellow, or red, green, and gold candles are very, very popular, very common for your Yule um, altar. Some other ways to celebrate, because there are a lot of them. I mean, there's many ways to celebrate Yule in this time of year as there are people just about. There's no two people are the same, no two groups or families are the same. We're all a little bit different. But you really can take the entire winter solstice, the 21 or the 12 days of Yule, and integrate it into Christmas, so that some of those families that are a little more blended and celebrate both Yule and Christmas, or Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah, or any of the other holidays this time of year, and really integrate them, understand what the different holidays mean to the different traditions, maybe. And it's an excellent way to learn more about some of those other paths, other traditions, and other cultures, and that's a good thing. But yeah, decorate your house. Now, just a side note before I say more about decorating, if you're using evergreens or cut boughs of trees and branches and such, remember that stuff does dry out, often relatively quickly, especially this time of year when we've got a lot of air moving, because the heaters are on, because in some areas it's flippin' freezing. And so if you do have those live branches hung up to decorate your space, keep them away from heat sources, because I don't want to say, hey, put branches all over your house and have it catch on fire, because that would be bad. That's not the kind of bonfire we want for Yule. Burning down your house is not a way to celebrate the holidays. Just saying. Seriously, just saying. And, so, practice safe decorating. I'll generally say practice safe internet, but here I'm saying practice safe decorating. Be aware of what you're doing and how it's impacting your family and your home and your heat source. So if you have little children, like things like holly and mistletoe and a lot of the berry type things that are going on right now, should not be ingested. So you have children, little ones, that put things in their mouth, which Minnie Paisley didn't do that until she was like 4 or 5. She didn't do it when she was 1 or 2. No, she waited until she was old enough to have teeth and really chomped down on it. I don't get it. But, so yeah. Just, make sure you're decorating appropriately for your family. And you don't have to go all out. I mean, yes, you can have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. That is fine. Decorate within your means and what is appropriate to your family and your situation. Having a 20-foot Christmas tree put up in your living room with an 8, because there's some toxins in there and you don't want to get sick. So yeah. You can get live trees in pots. You can actually use a fake tree. It's okay. To decorate for your Christmas. Go buy a Christmas tree. They're often on sale the closer we get to Christmas, and put it up and use it as a Yule tree, and that's okay. And decorate it. You can put fake candles on it. You can put little doodads and gizmos and string some popcorn or cranberries for the wood spirits, and that's okay. Just make sure it's appropriate for the critters in your house too. Drama, my cat now, is not too overly crazy about the Christmas decorations, but when Basil was a little bit younger, yeah, he was really hard on him. He would steal the apples that we had on the trees. I don't know why. He just is kind of a weird dog. So, meditation is good this time of year. Meditate on the past year, the things that you wanted to accomplish but just didn't get to because life got in the way. It happens, and that's okay. So, what are some of the things you wanted to accomplish in the past year that just didn't happen? And, is that something you can do in the next year? And if so, what is it you need to do to make sure you get those things accomplished? Now, when I said Yule log, traditionally the Yule log was this giant tree that was put in the fireplace, and often it was the length of the hall, and you'd light it in the fireplace, and as it burned down, you just shove it back in, and it in theory burned for a chunk of firewood that I glued candles and other stuff to, and that was fun, and that was my Yule log. You can do something like that. You can do. I've seen all sorts of decorative Yule logs that you can buy and do things. There's glass ones and porcelain and just these decorative things that you can create a Yule log. And then you can burn it later, or you can keep using it year after year. So, just whatever is appropriate again for your household and your space. So burn a pine candle, a pine scented candle, whatever it is, just get into the season, celebrate the season, even though you're not into the commercialism of Christmas necessarily. Find other ways to celebrate and to connect with your family. A lot of folks are donating to charity this time of year. I know like food banks and such are often really, really needing help, as far as that goes, adopt a family that may be needy in your community. There's all sorts of ways to celebrate the season and spread the joy, spread the love. Let's see. Cleansing rituals are really good this time of year also, because you're cleansing the past year as we're getting ready to, the days are going to get longer and things are going to start coming out again. In a cleansing ritual, I've mentioned them periodically and probably semi-often. And why? It's because cleansing rituals are good. They will rid the negative energies from your system and your body, because they do build up, and it is a thing. And what is it that you need? Sorry, I have a flashing light that says I'm about out of battery. To help you move forward in the coming year. So, or any time, because we all have some negative crap that happens that we just have to deal with, unfortunately. And I know, like, if you have a bad day at work or have an argument with someone, don't be afraid to just, afterwards, instead of just freaking out and having a meltdown, because that's the way so many of us deal with stuff, me included. All right, hold on just a second. Hold that thought. Count to like 5. I should do this quick, right? Hey, yeah, I'm still here. One more. On the upside, with it being so bloomin' cold, I could tell which ones were being used and which ones were not, because the fresh batteries were freezing. Oh, goodness. So yeah, just like that, new batteries. So yeah, do a cleansing ceremony, and it could be something as simple as in your day-to-day, your shower for work or for the day you take a bath. It doesn't have to be a big grandiose thing where you use a special soap and you do chants and light candles. Although if you need that, don't be afraid to do it. Often it's just like, before you get in the tub or the shower, just like take a couple deep breaths, and it's like allow your mind to set the intention that not only are you going to scrub yourself clean of dirt, but you're also going to just let that negativity or the past just rinse off of you and go down the drain, and let you move on with your life so you can do other things, because often that stuff takes up residence in our minds, and it prevents our little brains from having that room to do other things, to think about other things that are good for us, things to help us grow or connect with our path or our spirit guides or the deities or rituals or anything like that. So, be aware that, there's a lot of things out there that suck up your brain and just don't give you the chance to spend your energy doing other stuff. And don't be afraid to just let it go. Light a candle if you need to, burn some sage, incense, if that's what it takes, or just take a bath. Another way to kind of cleanse your world, because sometimes we need that too, clean out your closet. Get rid of some of that debris. Do you really need it? If you haven't used it in the last year, how badly do you really need it? I'm one for hanging on to shoes because I have huge feet, guys. I wear a size 11 in women's, size 9, 9.5 in men's, depending on the shoe style. And so when I find a pair of shoes, I don't want to let go of them. I will fix them. I now have access to a cobbler, so my favorite pair of shoes, I'm hoping to get them fixed. They're this leather kind of tie shoe with these heels that aren't too bad, and probably the most comfortable pair of shoes I've ever had, right up until they started falling apart because I wore them all the time. So there's a local cobbler that I'm excited to take them to here in this next year so I can wear them again because, yeah, they're good shoes. So, but yeah, clean your area. Spring cleaning generally happens in the spring. You can do it now too. You don't have to wait until spring. But basically, you're letting that negative energy, getting rid of it, brush it out. If you sweep and vacuum, and you're cleaning and everything, don't just leave that garbage in your trash. Go ahead and take it out so that it's ready to go to the for the trash guy to pick up, or take it to your local, your dumpster or wherever it is you take your garbage, and to get that stuff out of your house and clean your space, cleanse your space, so you're ready for the next year, the next season. And if you do a smudging or sage type ceremony, and I'm saying, when I say smudge, I'm not saying smudge as in the Native American way or traditional First Peoples way, because that is different. I'm just going to leave it at that. It is different. It's not. The process is different. The preparation is a little bit different. When I say smudge, I'm like doing it just you get a stick of wrapped sage or Palo Santo if that's what you use because you've sourced it correctly, or like I've got some cedar smudge sticks that Black Tree and I got together and made some, and because I've got a big beautiful cedar tree in my backyard. I have 20 acres, guys. When I say backyard, I mean I have 20 acres to go play in. So smudge. Start at one corner of your house, work to the other, whether up to down, down to up. Regardless, make sure you have a window open at your destination so that the negative energies and all that stuff can just go out of your house or out of your apartment or your home, and let it go, because you want to let that energy go. Cameron, I don't know if sage is endangered. I kind of grow my own because I like to garden. I didn't get to this past year, so I'm still using the stuff from the year before, but I don't know about sage being endangered. If you're gathering it in the wild, you do need to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure you have your necessary, permissions, of course. Sonia, I would love to have you call in. Let's try. Maybe I'll call you instead on a different number, because the buffering is quite bizarre. I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe not this weekend or next weekend, because it's kind of already got a plan for that. But how about the weekend after? So the weekend after Christmas. Maybe I'll call you. We can talk about tattoos. But yeah, whatever your family traditions are, don't be afraid to make new traditions. Some of them that we grew up with just don't have the same connection to our families anymore. So, be aware of that. A lot of solitary practitioners really do reach out to the goddess, and that's a good thing, to connect with your path as we're getting ready to move into the season. Donate stuff to the community, not just like the food bank is good, or I like to donate to the local children's shelter, where it's kiddos that have had some family stress and issues can go, because I think that is important. Um, and yeah, personally, I love this time of year because I like to start planning out my garden for next year because I generally want a lot more than I have time and energy for, so I have to pay attention to. So, um, because life, yeah, that is a real thing. So I'm hoping I'll have a little bit more time this next season to really get into the gardening. So, um, some other symbols that are often used this time of year are like bells. Bells are often rung during winter solstice to drive away negative energies or demons. They're traditionally they were rung in the mornings to wake everyone up and chase away the dark days and herald the warmer, brighter days following the solstice. Now, for those who don't know, elves, actually, the mythology around elves and the existence of elves is a Germanic creation. So they are occasionally associated with Yule because a lot of the ancients considered that the spirits created the sun that inhabited the land of the elves, and so by including elves in their celebrations, the ancients believed that they were assuring the elves assistance in having the sun return. Gingerbread, wonder why is gingerbread so popular right now, this time of year? Other than actually, I like gingerbread. It's ginger was an herb or a seasoning that became available after the Crusaders started changing things in the Middle East. So after the 11th century, a lot of those herbs and seasonings that we hadn't been exposed to, that were grown in other regions of the world, suddenly became available during the holiday season. So, Waes Hael or Waes Hael is an old English phrase meaning "be well" or "be hail." So, there's the song is "Here we go a wassailing along the fields of green." Well, basically, it's you're going along and saying, "Be of good health, be of good cheer." And while you're drinking ale or mulled apple cider or mulled honey mead or something like that. So, and then people go out and get the Yule log and such. So yeah, it's basically Waes Hael or Waes Hael or drink hail, which meant to drink and be well, which is an acceptable toast. Caroling, also very popular, mostly because people are honoring the solstice, the winter solstice, with song. A lot of our songs and such deck the halls. That's a very, very Yule oriented song, at least until it got PC'd. So yeah, there's just a lot of fun stuff happening right now. So try to find the spirit of the season, even if it's not the commercial one, because bah humbug on the commercial one, but connect with your path a little bit more. Just find the energy of your practice and your path, and accept that the seasons are turning and spring is coming and things are going to start growing. Or if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're approaching winter and you can have the cold weather, doggone it. So yeah, it's all good. Tomorrow night we will be back at 9 p.m. here on Truth Frequency Radio and on YouTube and iHeartRadio, TuneIn, TalkStream Live, all of those happy places. And I don't know. Tomorrow's night will be a surprise topic. If you have any questions, you want to send me an email, it's wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. So thank you all. Have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And have a good night.